China is a political frenemy of ours. And look who's at the southern border. Look who's at the southern border. Chinese migrants are the fastest growing group crossing into U.S. from Mexico. Now, you guys remember, it was about a month or two ago. There was an article from News Nation that we read where we talked about some of the Chinese that were apprehended at the border. Now they've grown to being the largest group at the southern border. Okay. The number of migrants arriving at the southern border is unprecedented. Last year, U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded 2.5 million instances of detaining or turning away people attempting to cross into the United States from Mexico. So what's the fastest growing group among them? Chinese migrants. Yes, you heard that right. Chinese. Okay. We saw large groups, including many from the middle class, come through a 4-foot gap at the end of a border fence 60 miles east of San Diego. The illegal entryway is the new route for those hoping to live in America. So now let me ask you guys a question, right? It says we saw large groups, including many from the middle class. So why would a middle class Chinese person come to the United States? Shout out to my man John. What's good with it, bro? Why would people from the middle class come to the United States? These migrants, anytime they're given the opportunity, the narrative of why they're coming to the United States, it always changed. Have you guys noticed that? If you guys noticed that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys haven't noticed that, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, facts. Shout out to Tampa Supreme. All military age men. Yeah. We're going, if I get a chance, we're going to definitely get into that military age men thing a little bit later. We're going to definitely get into that because that's facts. You know what I'm saying? The illegal entryway is the new route for those hoping to live in America. Just after sunrise, we saw the first group of migrants make their way from Mexico through a gap between the 30-foot steel border fence and rocks, ducking under a bit of razor wire and into the United States. We were surprised to see the number of people coming through from China, nearly 7,000 miles away. Our cameras at one point, this armed border agent standing 25 feet away, did not deter them. All right. So they determined to get up in here. This man, a college graduate, told us he hoped to find work in Los Angeles. He said his trip from China took 40 days. So now check this out. If you're you're middle class, coming to the United States, remember these people claim that they're coming to the United States for a job. If you're middle class, you either have enough money to sustain yourself or you do have a job. Would you guys agree? So now what's this guy's excuse? What's he coming here for? So the interviewer asked, what countries did you go through? And the guy says Thailand, Morocco, Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua. 30 minutes later, a smuggler's SUV raced along the border fence and dropped another group off at the same spot. And 30 minutes after that, another group. Over 4 days, we witnessed nearly 600 migrants, adults and children, pass through this hole and onto U.S. soil unchecked. Now, let me ask you guys this question. Why is that? Why'd that happen? What's up with Border Patrol? Border Patrol didn't stop them? We saw people from India, Vietnam, and Afghanistan. Many of the Chinese migrants who came through will end up asking for political asylum. Now, here go the question. Political asylum from what? The interviewer asked, did you travel by yourself or with family and friends? So this migrant says, no, just me. The interviewer says, just you? The migrant answers, yeah. The Gap is a global destination littered with travel documents from around the world. With the help of a translator, we learned a little about the Chinese migrants coming through. We also met a banker and small business owners. All right. So why are bankers and small business owners coming? Shout out to Torian. What's good with it, bro? Why are bankers and small business owners coming? Remember, these people, they claim that they're coming here to work, but you got bankers and small business owners coming here. They're coming here to work too. Some of the migrants made a grueling journey through Central America with dusty backpacks, dusty intentions too. But we noticed middle-class migrants from China arriving with rolling bags. They took flights all the way to Mexico. Some flew from China to Ecuador because it doesn't require a visa for Chinese nationals, then took flights to Tijuana, Mexico. The migrants told us they connected with smugglers, or what they call snakeheads, in Tijuana, and they each paid about $400 for the hour-long drive that ended here at the Gap. So now they're openly saying that they use smugglers to help them get in. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Blue Electric. What's going on, Blue Electric? How you doing? They saying that they openly use smugglers. They telling these people, yo, we use smugglers. We call them snakeheads in Tijuana. And they each paid them about $400 for the drive to get to the Gap. So then the interviewer says, why did you decide to come to the United States? This is the question where the answer always changes. This is the question that the answer always changes. The migrant translator says, oh, it's hard to live there and hard to find jobs. So then the interviewer asks, what did you do? Did you work in China? The migrant says she worked in the factory, but now it's hard to work in the factory. What do that mean? It's people that work here in factories that would probably rather not work in factories. Make it make sense. Shout out to Shamika. What's good with it, Shamika? Make it make sense. So then the interviewer asks, was this trip expensive? And the female migrant says, yes. Now, mind you, you're coming here for economic purposes, but you got $14,000 to drop on this trip. She said, and that she sold her house, which she had a house. Mind you, we have a whole homeless crisis in multiple cities and multiple states here. So she sold her house to cover the $14,000 cost of her trip to the United States. She paid $14,000 to come here. Last year, U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported 37,000 Chinese citizens were apprehended crossing illegally from Mexico into the United States. That's 50 times more than 2 years earlier. Many of the migrants told us they made the journey to escape China's increasingly repressive political climate and sluggish economy. This 37-year-old woman said China's C-19 lockdown destroyed her childcare business. She left 2 young children with family at home. Look, man, how many businesses got destroyed here in the United States because of the C-19 lockdowns? Are they crazy? They act like we didn't have this. Shout out to Torian. Torian says, Rob, I think you know every answer to every question that you're asking. Hey, look, check this out, Torian. Hey, if y'all agree with Torian, give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree, give me a thumbs down. Oh man, hey, real quick, y'all, if y'all haven't smashed that like button, do me a favor, take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, please help me out, hit that bell. We got 22 people watching. I appreciate y'all. And we got 23 likes. If everybody could take a moment and smash that like button, share the stream, let's try to get to 30. That'd be great. All right, so now look at this. So then they say, the interviewer asks, why did you decide to come to the United States? The migrant says, for many reasons. Then the interviewer suggests for work or, let me see. And then the female migrant says freedom. Now, if you was able to leave, you got freedom, right? You got freedom. You got freedom if you were able to leave. Nobody stopped you from leaving. You were able to sell your home. You got freedom. We wondered how all of these migrants knew about this particular entryway into California. The answer was in their hands. Look at this. So they got the answer from TikTok, they say. TikTok. Oh, you learned on TikTok? TikTok is a social media platform created in China. The posts we found had step-by-step. Look at this. The post we found had step-by-step instructions for hiring smugglers and detailed directions to the hole that we visited. So now here go my question. Why isn't whatever accounts are doing that blocked from access to like everybody? And shout out to Brooklyn Queen for being a like enforcer. Appreciate you, Brooklyn Queen. As soon as we get this channel monetized, we're gonna put some like enforcers over here. You know what I'm saying? We almost there. It's just a matter of time. So now you guys know that TikTok is one of the major issues that people are looking at in the election. They actually are looking at that. They're talking about it. TikTok is something that people are extremely interested in. We were struck by just how orderly and routine it all seemed. Do you guys remember earlier when we were talking about this? Maybe about 6 or 7 months ago, and I kept saying that there has to be some type of organization, some type of logistics structure behind this, because the way that these things are happening is just too coordinated for it to be organic. You guys remember that? So again, now the media is asking questions that we were asking months ago. The media is asking questions that we were asking months ago. Yeah, and I gotta agree with Tampa Supreme. Tampa Supreme says TikTok is a weapon. Facts. Let me ask you guys a question. If you compare the good that TikTok has caused versus all of the bad that TikTok has caused, which outweighs which? TikTok got more positive effects or TikTok got more negative effects? Which one? You know, people will sit there and say, well, you know, people spend all day on YouTube doing weird stuff. That's what people choose to do on YouTube. You could also get a whole education. You could figure out how to do all kind of stuff. You could learn how to put a transmission into a car or take off a muffler on YouTube. You can learn how to put together a heating system on YouTube. I don't think there's any instructions on TikTok anywhere how to put together a heating system, a heating and cooling system, or how to install a transmission into a car. I don't think you can find those type of instructional videos on TikTok like what you can find on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It's not even made for it. You know what I'm saying? The YouTube, the TikTok content, the short form videos, I don't know how you would really even be able to put that type of content in a short form, unless you just put like an instruction, you know what I'm saying, like a screenshot up, and then people just would pause it. You know what I mean? But I don't know how they would. I don't know if you could do that. So now here it says the migrants walked about half a mile down a dirt road and waited in line for a U.S. Border Patrol to arrive so that they could surrender. So see, they're using the strategy of they turn themselves into the Border Patrol, and then Border Patrol releases them back into the country. Remember, we've talked about this before. The land they are waiting on is owned by 75-year-old Jerry Shuster, a retiree. So the interviewer asks, the whole world seems to know there's a way in, and it's on your property. Jerry Shuster says, they're all doing this. They're all doing this. When they come over here, they come with suitcases. They come prepared with the computers like they just got off a Norwegian cruise ship yesterday. So as you guys can see, they're coming here, and they're coming here prepared. They're coming here prepared. They're not coming here looking like refugees. They're coming here looking like they planned a route to get here, which, I mean, clearly they did. They clearly did plan a route to get here. That's what they did. You know what I'm saying? Shuster owns 17 acres just north of the border fence and a quarter mile outside of Jacumba Hot Springs, California. This place's population is only 540. So now check this out. This lady asked him, you're an immigrant yourself. See that? Shuster says, yes. Where did you come from? Yugoslavia. I come from Yugoslavia, and I left Yugoslavia. I went to Austria, stayed there 8 months, and I knock on this door. I didn't burst the door down to come over here. Now, here go my thing, right? Everybody says all of this stuff, but I don't believe them. I gotta see it to believe it. I'm sorry, like, I gotta see it to believe it. Everybody will always sit back and be like, well, do you know what they're doing is worse than what I did? I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. All I know is that it don't matter what you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, all of them are taken away from resources and taxpayer dollars that we have. Because if we didn't have all this problem going on, we wouldn't even have to pay taxpayer dollars to fund a USCIS that processes any immigrants, whether legal or illegal. So when I see these legal immigrants, you know what I'm saying? When I see them shaming and talking crazy about the illegal immigrants, it's suspect, because these same legal immigrants, they come over here and they still act like we're not supposed to be here in the United States. These people come here and disrespect Black Americans, and we helped build this country, and they tore up the country that they came from. I don't know if you guys know anything about Yugoslavia, but they tore Yugoslavia up. Yugoslavia got torn up. Matter of fact, they dropped so many bombs over there, I think a lot of the land is radioactive, and they got a lawsuit out, possibly against the United States. You know what I'm saying? So now here, it says it all started in May. He went in to investigate some smoke coming from his property and found migrants burning trees to stay warm. Today, his property looks like a messy moonscape, littered with trash and tents migrants have left behind. I would be kind of upset about that. How many of y'all would be happy if every time y'all went outside, it was a tent? It was a tent just left up in your backyard. Would y'all be cool with that? If y'all would be happy with that, give me a thumbs up. If y'all wouldn't be happy, give me a thumbs down. I wouldn't be happy with that. That would make me extremely upset. I'd be upset with a lot of people. I'd be upset with the migrants. I'd be upset with the city that I live in for not enforcing the law. I'd be upset with the state government for not enforcing the law. They taking down the property value. I'd be big mad. I ain't even gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? So now the landowner here, Jerry Shuster, he says, well, they say it was like 4 months ago, there was my 8 guys start knocking my trees and start burning my trees on the other side. So I told them, please don't do that. Please don't do that. And they started surrounding me. I went home and got my gun and I shot in the air. Then they arrested me. So they arrested homeboy, Jerry Shuster, for protecting himself on his own land. Now, mind you, Texas is the castle doctrine, stand your ground state. Shout out to Tia. What's good with it, Tia? Texas is a castle doctrine, stand your ground state. Homeboy start bucking in the air to get them people off of his land that wasn't supposed to be there, and they came and arrested him. Shout out to DC Precise. What's good with it? Yeah, time to invest in some Rottweilers and some pits. Big facts. Right. Wheels need to keep rolling. He need to do like Ludacris and roll out. You know what I'm saying? Secure that border. Razor wire. Roll out. That's what your boy the Wheels need to do. You know what I'm saying? Secure that border, homie. Right now. Roll out. Oh man. Texas only live up to their culture when they got a gun pointed at a black person. You know what I'm saying? They don't have no culture. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got no culture. They talk tough. They only tough when they point a gun at a black person. You see, this dude he didn't know what to do. He's stuttering during the interview. He's so shook. You know what I'm saying? So then the interviewer asked, they arrested you? And he says, yeah, they arrested me. And she says, on your property? He said, yeah, on my property. Yeah, just because I asked them not to burn trees, not to knock the fences, and they arrested me. They put me in a police car. I'm just protecting my own land. So did the police just walk right past the migrants or what? What happened right there? You know what I'm saying? The police must have just walked right past the migrants. So now check this out. The interviewer said, if you had a guess, how many migrants do you think you've seen come through here? He says maybe 3,000 a week. She says 3,000 a week. And he says, yes. Say that, yes. Because this is an ongoing deal. About 2 hours after these migrants arrived, we saw a border patrol pull up, broadcasting recorded instructions in Mandarin. The migrants were driven to a detention facility near San Diego where they are given background checks. Now, how do you give somebody who's undocumented a background check? This is what I need y'all to break this down for me. How do you check somebody's background when you have no documentation on them? How do you do that? What's the procedure? How does that work? How does that happen? How can you do it? Does that make any sense? You don't have any documentation on anybody, yet you're supposed to check their background. How do you do it? Yeah, I gotta agree. If you guys agree with Hurricane IQ, that's impossible. Give me a thumbs up. If y'all disagree and y'all think that it is possible, give me a thumbs down and let me know how you do it. Because I'm being serious. I don't know how you do that. You know what I'm saying? So now it says some are interviewed. Typically within 72 hours, they are released into the United States and can begin the process of filing an asylum claim. Jacqueline Arello has volunteered at the border for 8 years, offering humanitarian aid to migrants. So now here's this Jacqueline woman. So I'm a native Spanish speaker. I've been able to rely on being bilingual in doing this work for the duration that I've been doing it. And in this past year, I mean, there's been times that I've come to sites and not spoken to a single Spanish speaker. All right. She relies on translation apps to communicate with Chinese migrants. So it's so many Chinese migrants that the bilingual people got to use Google Translate. There's so many Chinese migrants that the translators have to use Google Translate. Okay. The translator says these people, or I'm sorry, the interviewer says these people want to be picked up by border patrol. Why isn't this happening at a port of entry? So now the translator says that would definitely be the ideal situation and people would much prefer to do so. It would definitely be safer and more efficient. Unfortunately, there are barriers to people being able to seek asylum at a port of entry. One barrier is the phone app called CBP1. Asylum seekers are supposed to use an app to make an appointment to enter the U.S. through a legal border crossing. As we saw last spring in Juarez, Mexico, the system is glitchy. Now, let me ask you guys this. They can use a phone app called TikTok to get instructions to illegally cross into the border, but they can't use the app that's made to cross the border to cross the border. So you can use an app like TikTok that's not made to help you cross the border to get illegal tips on how to illegally cross, but you can't use the actual app that's made for it to do it. Does that make sense? That doesn't make very much sense, does it? Volunteers who work with migrants told us there is still a 3 to 4 month wait to secure an appointment at a border crossing. So, I mean, what is this? Is any of this a 911 issue? If you got 3 to 4 months to wait, you just gonna have to wait. Let me ask y'all this. How many people know of people that are waiting 3 to 4 months to get their cancer looked at? So you mean to tell me you can't wait to get into the country, but somebody else got to wait 3 to 4 months to get a biopsy or something like that to see if they got cancer? No, that doesn't make any sense. That's ridiculous. Nobody should accept these as any kind of answers. You know what I'm saying? So now the interviewer says, is this a shortcut? And the translator says, it's really like the only one that they have. I don't even know that they will consider it a shortcut. Of course they consider this a shortcut. This translator is caping. For years, millions of Chinese have entered the U.S. with a visa that allowed them to visit, work, or study. But in the last few years, those visas have been increasingly difficult to secure as tensions between the two countries have grown. In 2016, the U.S. granted 2.2 million temporary visas to Chinese nationals. In 2022, it was just 160,000. So my thing is, if you've decreased the number of visas and the people are still coming in illegally, wouldn't that tell you that those might not be the people that you want coming here? Wouldn't that kind of set off some alerts, some alarms? You kind of question that a little bit. We've already reduced the amount of access, and yet and still these people are still trying to get access and they're not getting the access through legal means. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Hurricane IQ. Make sure y'all show him some love for being a like enforcer. 35 viewers, 33 likes. Let's get to 50. Facts. If you guys haven't smashed that like button, take a moment, smash that like button. If you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys take a moment and hit the bell. Wherever you're watching from, please share the stream. And also remember, it's important if you guys are not following the Twitter for Undocumented, when the bot puts the link in the chat, make sure you take a moment and go over there and follow that Twitter. You know what I'm saying? You can't count on YouTube notifications all the time. So now here says Tammy Lin is an immigration attorney and has worked with clients from China for nearly 2 decades. So now the interviewer says, if someone's not granted asylum here, will China then say, okay, yes, we'll take them back? Tammy Lin says, I haven't seen that happen, really. I think even back to 2008, a lot of these Chinese nationals that had failed asylum cases weren't able to get passports to be put on the plane to be sent back. So we can't send you back. So now here's the question. What happens to you then? See, isn't that a good question? Now you get stuck over here. Your asylum case fails, but then you're not able to get a passport. So you get stuck here. So how does that work exactly? Somebody make that make sense. How does that work exactly? Based on our review of data from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, there are at least 36,000 Chinese who have been ordered by U.S. courts to leave the country. 36,000. You guys see this? Look at this. But China is notorious for not taking back its citizens, and the U.S. can't force China to accept them. So then what? What ends up happening then? You see, you guys see how this is a problem? If you guys see how this is a problem, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't see how this is a problem, give me a thumbs down. This is a huge problem. You know what I'm saying? So now the interviewer asks, so then what happens if they have a failed claim, but they can't go back to China? That's a very good question. They're stuck in this limbo. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this question. As far as this limbo goes, where is the physical location of this quote unquote limbo? Where's the physical location of this quote unquote limbo? What do you guys think? Got to be some type of physical location to the quote unquote limbo. Where the physical location at of this limbo? According to the Justice Department, last year, 55% of Chinese migrants were granted asylum, compared with 14% for every other nationality. So they're granting the Chinese nationals asylum at a 55% rate. With the odds in their favor and a phone to guide them, there's little to discourage more Chinese migrants from coming through the gap near Jerry Shuster's place. So the interviewer then goes on to say, have you said to anybody, hey, there's this giant hole they're coming through. How about patching that up? And so Jerry says, they know that this thing is there. And we all been telling them, hey, when this thing is going to quit over here, you got to call Washington, D.C. That's what they say. So we did. U.S. Customs and Border Protection told us their agents don't have authority to stop people coming through gaps like this one and can only arrest them after they've entered illegally. So they can't stop them from coming in. Once they come in, they can arrest them illegally. If they don't get granted citizenship, then they stay in limbo, which means that they stay here. What kind of sense does this make? If this makes any sense, give me a thumbs up. If it doesn't make any sense, give me a thumbs down. This don't make any damn sense. This don't make any sense whatsoever. So who does have authority? Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. What's good with it, bro? So who does have authority? As for closing the gap, they said it is on their priority list, but it will require money from Congress. All right. Nonsense. Nonsense. So now we got a bunch of Chinese migrants. The fastest growing group crossing into the United States from Mexico.